I know I'm probably the only one that feels this way. Maybe I'm not the only one that feels this way, but when I look at pro wrestling, I sometimes look at it as a very fake industry of wrestlers, characters, you know, these guys that come together after years and years of hate and throwing each other under the bus, beefing with one another, one dragging his name through interviews, dragging their name through the mud, burying them in interviews, shoot interviews and whatnot. And it's like, it's weird to see someone like Triple H and Bret Hart coming together and, I guess, rehashing and squashing the beef, right? I mean, the amount of shit that Bret Hart has said about Triple H, it's amazing how it's like Triple H is thanking him for showing up, and I get it, it's all business at the end of the day. Like, Bret was there to show up for an appearance. He was there to do business with Gunther and Sami Zayn, and that's it. But I just can't help but notice and like take a look back at the things that Bret Hart said about Triple H in the past. Now, Triple H, I don't recall him saying anything bad about Bret Hart. But Bret Hart, he said a lot of stuff about other wrestlers. To this day, he holds grudges against Bill Goldberg and maybe secretly against Shawn Michaels. Who knows? But I've seen some shoot interviews recently of Bret still, talking about the same drama, the same beef from back in the day with him and Shawn and Triple H. I mean, and this is like recent. But it's just funny to me, man. Like, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, they've moved on. Bill Goldberg, he's moved on. For some reason, Bret Hart can't find it in himself to move on from the beef. I mean, a lot of wrestlers have talking shit onto another in the past, and it's like, it's funny how you see them back in the WWE and they're under a Legends contract. They show up here and there to do business with a current generation wrestler. I mean, I caught wind of, RVD interviews before he got into the Hall of Fame, right? And, he's popping up on SmackDown. He's showing up here and there. I don't know if he's under a Legends contract, but I don't know if you guys feel the same way. It's just weird to me and a little bit off-putting that every wrestler that has had beef with somebody in the WWE, mainly with Triple H and Vince McMahon, right? Those are the two main ones that a lot of wrestlers have had beef with in the past, and they said some things about them in the past in interviews, and shoot interviews and whatnot. And then years later, you see them in the Hall of Fame. You see them doing business, right? You see them just showing up here and there. And they talk all this crap beforehand. And it's like, damn, they have a lot of hatred for this person. It's crazy. And you just get the idea that they're never going to come back because they said this amount of derogatory things. And they, you know, how shoot interviews go. It's like, it's never really going to be, um, it's just going to be going off the rails pretty much whenever you watch them. I mean, some are funny, like the RVD pick the hand. That was really funny to me. And it's like you see certain shoot interviews of certain wrestlers and legends from the past, and they're just going off on about Triple H or Vince McMahon. 5 years later, 10 years later, they're in the Hall of Fame. They signed a Legends contract. So I've come to the conclusion that pro wrestling is probably the fakest or one of the fakest industries in the world. And at the end of the day, it's just all about business. Do you really think that Bret Hart actually likes Triple H? Do you think Bret Hart and Triple H are actually friends? Not by a long shot. I can tell by looking at this picture, Bret Hart still has negative feelings towards Triple H. And that's pretty clear to me.